T-Bone presents The Cryptids of North America. I hope you enjoy.
Alright guys, we find ourselves in a very special location. We're in my hometown of Copper Hill, Tennessee, and what you see behind me is our steel bridge. This bridge has been in operation for longer than I've been alive. It was built at the end of the 1800s, I do believe. So what is it about bridges that have become so important to our way of life, yours and mine? We cross them from day to day, thanklessly, thoughtlessly. It's just there and we drive across it. Bridges stand as a testament to man's ingenuity to build, but they also stand as a testament for man's desire to go from one place to the other, to cross a great river, or to cross a piece of land that may have a deep valley in it. So what is it about the bridge that brings me to this location today to shoot this? Well, it's our first cryptid on our list of Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids of North America. If you're new here, welcome in. My name's T-Bone. I do shoot motorcycle related content, but as you're about to witness today and for the next couple of weeks, I shoot any kind of content really. So the reason for this today is I want to take you to another time. And although these great structures stand, well, as a testament to man's ingenuity, what if I told you that there was a cryptid in North America that, according to who you believe and what you believe, that can either spell disaster or it can be a warning that these structures may fall? So ladies and gentlemen, Madames, Messieurs, Senors and Senoritas, wherever you are in this world, allow me to present for your consideration cryptid number one, ladies and gentlemen, Mothman. The Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Guys, thank you for indulging me in that opening. I knew it was kind of busy with people around, but I had to get that footage there. The Mothman of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, guys. To get you to the beginning of where this story begins, we have to jump on the time machine and we have to ride it all the way back to the year 1966, November of 1966 to be exact. That's by all accounts, that is the time that it seems like the legend of the Mothman, well, first became documented. And it began with two couples, four folks riding in a car, and they were on their way to Point Pleasant, and they were going past an old munitions factory from World War II, and they seen something standing on the side of the road by this munitions plant. They reported seeing a creature that stood somewhere between 5 to 6 foot tall. It had wings kind of like a moth, and it stood erect like a man. They said its chest was shaped like a man, but the one thing that haunted the folks was that they were all scared, and the one thing that haunted them was its eyes. They all four reported that this thing had huge glowing red eyes. So according to who you believe, these people either saw something that they couldn't explain, or they just misidentified. That's the trick to find out, because it was reported that some people thought that the couples, the four folks, had saw a sandhill crane, which is indigenous to the area, and they had just seen a unusually large sandhill crane. But they said when this thing spread its wings, that its wingspan was somewhere between 6 or 7 foot long wide. Kind of like the sandhill crane's wingspan. So that was the first reported documented sighting, I believe. Like I said, I may be wrong, but in my research, 1966, November, I think it was November the 16th of 1966 to be exact, was the very first, it was November of 1966. It was either November or December, because nearly 1 year later, an event happened that put Point Pleasant, West Virginia on the map. That would have been the old Silver Bridge collapsing. Now, when the old Silver Bridge collapsed, it made national news because it was an important happening. But just as important was that people had reported seeing a black creature sitting on the bridge. It had wings like a moth and big red eyes, and it was saw by more than one person. And 2 or 3 days after it was spotted, the bridge collapsed. Now, that's what brought me to the bridge over in my hometown, was that they said, and again, it's according to who you ask. According to who you ask, it was either an omen of something bad was going to happen, or it was a cause of something happening. Let's just put it that way. It was either warning it or it was causing it. And there, in that, you get a split decision as to what people really think. So there have been other sightings of the Mothman, and of course Point Pleasant, West Virginia, they leaned into the myth of the Mothman. They didn't shy away from it. They actually have a day every year where they have what is called the Mothman Festival, where people dress up and they go into town. There's actually a big statue in the town of the Mothman. So Point Pleasant leaned into it, and they are not shy of it. They actually enjoy their cryptid. It kind of made them famous. And of course, there's a store there in that town. Lady Dish, she has all things Mothman. But what's so cool about this is that it's not just Mothman. A lot of these people believe in that these cryptids of North America, they believe there's something valid to them, as do I. Now, if that drives you away from my channel, I'm sorry, but listen, when you have a thing like Mothman, now here's the thing you got to understand. Could it have been a abnormally large sandhill crane that was misidentified? It could have been. But you've got another legend that's wrapped up around the Mothman too, and it's actually a cryptid itself. So I'm going to group it in here. Now, for hundreds of years, Native Americans of North America have all reported through all tribes have reported on it, and they have made shrines to it, whether they have put it in their clothing, stitched it in their clothing, carved it out of wood. There is another flying creature that's called the Thunderbird. Now, it is its own cryptid. But now, in a recent interview I watched, like I said, this is October, and I have been researching all this stuff since June of this year. So about the last 4 months I've been working on all this stuff. They believe that it wasn't a misidentified sandhill crane. They believe it actually might have been the elusive Native American Thunderbird that people were seeing. Because the Thunderbird, like I said, the legend of the Thunderbird stretches back way farther than the Mothman. But could it be? Could it be a sandhill crane? Could it be the Thunderbird? Because if you think about what these things represent, and of course the sandhill crane just represents the bird family. He is an abnormally large bird. But when you start adding the Thunderbird in, the Thunderbird changes things, because a lot of cultures actually view the Thunderbird as a spirit animal. They say, those who have seen it say that it was a very spiritual experience witnessing the Thunderbird. So could it be that through fear or just through shock or surprise, could it be that these four people, these two couples who first saw it, that their eyes played tricks on them? Could have been a Thunderbird stalking its prey down on the roadside? Now, that's open for interpretation, just like anything else to do with Mothman. Me personally, just from what I've read up and all the research I've done and many videos, and that's the thing about these things, guys, any of these cryptids that we talk about in our series, please jump on YouTube, because I promise you, if you type in Mothman, you will find an abundance of information. And not just Mothman, but any of the other cryptids that we're going to talk about in this series through the month of October. But if you think about the Mothman in one aspect being, was it a spiritual experience? If it was a Thunderbird that these folks are seeing, there is a few things that differentiate the Thunderbird from the report of the Mothman. And the first and foremost being wingspan. The wings of the Thunderbird have always been drawn out and have been identified as looking like a giant eagle's wings. And of course our Mothman's wings have been identified as being giant moth wings. Hence the name Mothman. But either way, I mean, you got to think about what if. And I'm using that term a lot in this series because I'm not trying to lead you to believe anything. I am simply presenting something for your consideration. What if there was a creature, or a cryptid, if you will, that somehow was able to warn you of pending danger, such as a bridge collapsing, or a building collapsing, or any kind of disaster that isn't natural? What if there was a creature that could warn you of that? Like the first deer there that just warned me to slow down for the second deer. Deer, that's a buck right there, that little spike. He's going back off into the weeds. Oh, I'm telling you guys, look at the leaves. The leaves are falling all around. They're starting to turn. We are definitely getting into spooky season. But now back to my question that I posed. What if there was a cryptid that could warn you of these kind of disasters? Would you want to know? Would you want to heed his warning? Would you want to be a creature like that warning you? I mean, I would. If there was some kind of disaster going to happen where folks might lose their lives, or God forbid, you know, lots of people lose their lives, I think I would want to know about it. I would want to have some kind of warning of it. I mean, that's just me though, personally. But to accept the warning, you would have to first believe in the creature. And that seems to be where people have the hardest time, is actually believing in some of these cryptids and some of these creatures. Because really, guys, if you think about it, seeing is believing. To believe something exists like this, such as the Mothman, people always want to go with their first, you know, their eyes being their first sense that has to be convinced that there is something to see, that there is something going on. So if the Mothman was going to warn you, again, I asked you, would you want to know? Would you want to know that he is there, maybe trying to prevent some kind of tragedy from happening? Now, the people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a good portion of the people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, believe that very thing. They believe that the Mothman is a warning. He's a symbol for them, that he's warning them of impending doom. And I tell you, that might be something nice to have on your side if a disaster pops up. Because in what I've learned about Native American culture and the Native American belief system is that they believe that the Thunderbird is a good omen. Actually, they put a lot of fact in that the Thunderbird is not only just a good omen, but is a spiritual animal, that he is a spirit guide. So that in the story kind of coincides with the Mothman. But as far as the looks go, the Mothman doesn't look anything like the Thunderbird. But I'll tell you what, let me get turned around here, guys. I'm looking for something that I fell off my bike. Well, it fell off my tripod, but I think it's gone. Let me get turned around here. But I'll tell you something about the Mothman. I have learned just in my time. I have talked to, of course, Grace, who you heard me do the interview with, phone interview a couple of weeks ago when I posted on the channel. She told me that her favorite cryptid of all time is, in fact, Mothman. Now, my two daughters, Cheyenne and Tashera, will tell you that Mothman is their favorite cryptid. They know all things Mothman. I guess the first time I heard about Mothman was when I stumbled across him doing research about another cryptid that's going to be on this channel coming up soon. But a lot of the cryptids that we learn, of course, now there's a mountain of, there's a whole fountain of knowledge just pouring out before you. I mean, anything you want to know about, you can learn about it by jumping online. Make sure the little deer aren't going to jump out on me here. That's the thing about riding in an area for a long time, a lot of years, is you kind of get adapted to where your wildlife does a whole lot of action now. And this area right through here is one of them. But anyway, squirrel. When I was young, and I know a lot of these folks that are in my comments who are regular members of my channel, like Recycled Hooligan and Flip at the Blue Mule and Georgia Hillbilly and all these folks that are in on my channel here, we all remember that there was things where we got our information from when we were young. One of them was a television series called Unsolved Mysteries, and it was hosted by a gentleman named Robert Stack. Now, I would always watch Unsolved Mysteries with my dad because my dad enjoyed Unsolved Mysteries a lot. Everybody did back then. And of course, to a younger guy, Robert Stack's voice was the selling point of the TV series. But they had a segment where they talked about different things, but they had a segment called The Unexplained. And that was the first time that I had ever heard anything about Dogman, Loch Ness Monster. All these cryptids from around the world were now being filtered into me through my television set. And actually, a couple of the streaming services actually have Unsolved Mysteries. They have the original ones. I think Hulu has it, and I'm pretty sure Tubi has it. And Tubi is free. You just download the app, and you don't have to pay no monthly subscription for Tubi. But I think the first time I heard, I've heard about Mothman in passing, but for this series, for this episode, this is the first time that I've ever done any kind of research on the Mothman, and I was surprised to find out that in doing research for this series, there's a lot of people that believe and that love Mothman. I mean, he's their favorite cryptid. As Gracie told me off camera with mine and her conversation, as my daughters both have told me that they're fans of the Mothman. I mean, he's man, there's leaves everywhere. He is one of their favorite cryptids. So I think, guys, episode 1 of Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids North America is in the bag. I appreciate you guys coming along with me. So what are my final thoughts on Mothman? Well, my first thought is, why can't he exist? Why does it have to be one way or the other? Because here's the thing. People that have reported, some of the people that have reported seeing Mothman took lie detector tests and they passed them, meaning that they seen something. Now I know some of y'all out there are going to say, well, lie detector tests aren't infallible, that's why they're not submissible in court cases. That's true. But the same people seeing the same thing and they report it all the same way, and then a year later a bridge collapses, and then he is spotted again, and everybody keeps giving the exact same description. Well, that's a little more than coincidence, if you ask me. So my final thoughts is, yes, I think he can exist, and yes, I think that he could be misidentified, either a sandhill crane or a thunderbird. And even if he is considered a thunderbird, and even if that is what he's misidentified as, well, he's still in the cryptid world. So why not? Why does it always have to be one way or the other? People saw something, they reported it, and they believed in what they saw. And sometimes that's all you need. You don't really need no validation from anybody else. As long as you believe in what you've seen, that's all that really matters. So there it is, guys. Episode 1, Mothman. Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids of North America. Now this is done in my old moto vlogging style, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And I close with this. I challenge you to do your own research on the Mothman. And I want to pose just that one question to you. That one question is, what if? What if the Mothman really does exist? Something to think about, guys. Halloween is coming up on us. This is episode 1. Remember, there are 4 more episodes. And if you are new here, I invite you to go check out some of my other videos. Like, comment, share, subscribe, if you think I'm right for you. But for now, you guys take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And hey, you have pleasant dreams tonight. And thanks for watching.